Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am Sunita. I am a very open, honest and raw person. I talk about various subjects, about my life and the things I've been through, and I'm a very big advocate for awareness for mental illness as well as other harder subjects. I've always been an open book, and I've always wanted to use my suffering to help others. I haven't told this story here before, but the tattoo I have on my chest, Wingless Angel, the reason I got that name was because I attempted suicide, one of my many attempts, when I was about 16, I reckon, 16. And the doctors told my parents I'd die, like flat out that I was gonna die. And I remember going to sleep and it was almost like I was dead. It honestly felt like I was dead. And I remember, like, in that sleep, death-like state, holding an angel's hand, like my hand out like this, and being taken halfway up to heaven, and it was as if the angel changed its mind or heard a message from God that it wasn't my time, and kind of just suddenly rapidly coming back down and being suddenly back in my own body. And I woke up and my hand was like this, like I was holding someone's hand. And I was just like, so I woke up with my hand still like this, as if I'd been holding someone's hand, but it wasn't like my parents or anyone were next to me. And Wingless Angel just kind of became my name, and then like that's my name. And that experience, like, I can't say it. That experience taught me that I can use my suffering and pain to help others. So, like, I'm a wingless angel. I was meant to be an angel. Not just that time, but so many times where I should have died in my life. Not just from suicide. And it just taught me that, like, I can use this suffering to help others. So I decided to do this video because I'm actually not doing the best at the moment. I'm in a pretty dark place, and I was like, I can either wallow in this, or I can use a bit of my knowledge from having mental illness diagnosed at 14 and being in and out of inpatient, so mental health clinics or psych wards or whatever you want to call them, since I was 14, that, like, maybe I can use some of that to, I guess, spread some awareness or, like, help someone out there and just, like, explain some things. So today I'm going to be talking about mental illness, in particular PTSD, complex PTSD and trauma. So there'll be a trigger warning because we'll see how this goes. We'll see, like, what I do and don't talk about, but, like, I may talk about some of my traumatic experiences, so, like, keep that in mind when watching this. I'm actually really excited. I'm actually really excited to do this. This is a bit crazy. You're all just like, what's so crazy about this video? I'm like, just you wait. Okay, so My PTSD goes way, way, way back. Way, way back. And like, I wasn't diagnosed with PTSD until I was probably 15. And then the diagnosis was changed to complex PTSD. Now, I'll explain the difference between the two in a minute. But my first kind of initial trauma happened when I was younger. I was 12, and it's actually what started my eating disorder. So my coping mechanism to deal with this trauma was my eating disorder. And I'm going to talk about that more too, about the fact that trauma and PTSD, there are direct links to eating disorders and addiction as just coping mechanisms. Like, there is honestly a connection there. So, like I said, I'm going to be talking about something that is a big part of my life, unfortunately. So complex PTSD. My PTSD is formed from trauma. And like I said, I'll go into more detail, like really breaking this down for you in a minute. But I just got to explain a few things. For me, there was a trauma that happened when I was 12. And it was very suppressed. I still only remember parts of it, which is quite common with trauma. Just for your mind to literally protect itself by suppressing the memory. But I hadn't really recognized that as a trauma or even acknowledged it had happened at that age. At 12, my eating disorder started, which was a reaction to the trauma. And like I said, I'm going to talk a lot more about how eating disorders and addiction of any kind is directly linked to PTSD and complex PTSD. So, my initial trauma started when I was quite younger. Okay? Here we've got like younger me. I was probably younger than 12 here, but I was drawn to this photo. I'm a little poser. Like, look at this. It's like, am I even the same person? So, I was drawn to this photo. And I'm possibly younger in this photo than 12, like when that trauma occurred. But I don't know. I was drawn to this photo. And, you know, I think sometimes we need to let go of who we were before trauma happened. I've had a lot of people over the years compare me to this person. Even when I was older, when I was 13 and still had my natural hair color. And it's like, do you not understand that when you go through trauma, it changes you? It changes you. And it drastically changed me. Drastically. To the point that I don't identify with this person. It's a total separate person. To the point where I'll look at photos of myself in childhood or even like up to the age of like 12, and I don't really recognize the person as myself at all, which is really difficult. But you know, I've had I remember someone making a comment, someone who knew me back in these days, who was like, what happened to that beautiful, sweet, blonde girl? What happened? And I'm like, trauma happened. Trauma. life-altering trauma. It changes you, changes your brain, it changes every aspect of you, how you view yourself, everything. So I've grieved this person for a long time. I really have. I've grieved this girl. I've grieved the innocence that I lost, the mass amounts of childhood that I don't remember, and I'm not sure why I don't remember. I mourn the person before that trauma, and unfortunately that's a trauma I can't talk about. It's just way too touchy of a subject, but it's hard. This is hard. This is hard. This is a big deal. Like, I've mourned her because she was this happy, sweet, innocent person, and then somebody took advantage of that, and that literally destroyed my innocence. And we've always kind of called before that trauma, my family, like La La Land, where life was kind of perfect. And it was pretty close to perfect. I already had some issues arising in childhood, which is why I think I have some of childhood blocked out. Nothing in relation to my parents, but just clearly something I've blocked out. But life was perfect. Like, we had decent income in the household. Like, the family was great. Like, my parents are absolute angels. My sister is, oh my God, I love my baby girl, my sister. Everything was perfect. And then that happened, and it not only harmed me, but harmed my entire family. And this girl, like, she's not me anymore. She's not me anymore, and I can't be that person. I will never be that person again. To the point that I actually re-dyed my hair a couple days ago, because the second my natural hair, my natural, like, dirty blonde hair, like, starts to appear, I panic. That's how much I've disconnected from this person. And I do think it's really important to grieve, like, who you were before trauma or an incident or something, because you've lost a part of yourself, or your whole self. To me, this is a total separate identity to who I am now. So with that in mind, with that being said, like, that is what is left of who I once was. Just tiny, smudgy aspects that I don't connect to, or a person I don't know. And that's what people have to realize about trauma, is how mind, body, soul destroying it is. Like I said, and I'll keep saying it, I will probably grieve who I once was for the rest of my life, because somebody made a choice and destroyed who I was. This is what's left. You know? I won't be her ever again, and that's okay. I don't have to be. People have made choices that have changed me, and they were traumatic, but I've grown from them. So after that, in saying that, I'm actually gonna sage. Look at this beautiful sage. Ooh, been waiting to use this. This is for love, actually, with the lavender and everything. This was created with a manifestation of self-love. So I'm gonna burn some of this, and then I'm gonna get right into talking about PTSD. So hey y'all, I had to take a temporary pause from making this video. I was contacted by a certain ex of mine who is actually a major trigger to my PTSD. So I took a little bit of time to just kind of look after myself, do some self-care, reach out and talk to some friends because I wasn't coping. And I thought kind of when I've come back and I'm feeling a little bit more like ready to continue this video, I'll get straight back to it. So here I am. Now, I came across another photo of mine that is a lot closer to, a lot closer to the age I was when that initial trauma happened. And it's one I can't stand looking at. I actually can't stand looking at it. Like, it, to me, the best way to describe it is like I'm looking at a photo of someone who's deceased, literally. And it can be quite traumatic for me, especially when I take the time to acknowledge that that's actually me in that photo and I'm not dead. Like, that actually was me. It's just that person I was is deceased due to trauma. So, whew, I'm a bit nervous. Okay. Yeah, I hate this photo. I hate looking at old photos of me. It just really triggers my PTSD. But, you know what, like, go big or go home, you know? Like, I'm here to spread awareness, talk a bit about what I've been through, and also, like, really explain PTSD and complex PTSD. So, got to be a bit vulnerable here and, you know, let you into the crazy life that is mine living with complex PTSD. So, oh God, here we go. You ready? Yeah, that's so actually makes me quite emotional, but also like my stomach right now is just kind of like rumbling with rage, and anger is not an emotion I deal with very well. Normally I inflict all the anger I have on other people, like perpetrators and abusers, etc., on myself, where I would use negative behaviors against myself to let out that anger. And looking at this photo, it, like, this girl was just so happy and so innocent, and I just do not connect to her or know her whatsoever. It's like looking at a ghost to me. So once again, I'm gonna burn this almost ceremonially, like saying goodbye to this person, because I'm not this person anymore. And you know what, like, I'm beginning to learn, and I am actually going back into treatment soon to really dig deep and start processing some of my trauma, because it doesn't go away. You can't bury it under behaviors, negative or positive. You can't just keep burying it and dismissing it. It doesn't go away. Believe me, I know, and I'll get into that, I promise. I ain't hiding anything, totally honest here. But yeah, this girl isn't here anymore, and I'm sad, I'm grieving. Like I said, this person is dead. But like, you know what, like, I'm so disconnected, so depersonalization, like totally disconnected from myself and my body. So like, I can't even connect to photos, sometimes even recent photos I can't connect to. So like, looking at these ones is really hard for me, because I just don't, it's like looking at a stranger, a dead stranger. And I want to give this person love, I want to give this person care. I just kind of want to hug this girl and be like, you didn't deserve the things that happened to you, honey. You didn't deserve what happened. You didn't deserve that in a sense murdered you. And I guess give some self-love to myself in the fact that this person is me, and acknowledging that and going, you know what, I need to give myself that love and care, and acknowledge that I went through those things. I went through those things. And somehow I'm still here, still breathing. But you know what, like, I wish I could give the love to myself that I would give to this girl. And that sounds stupid because I'm talking about myself, but like, I just want to hug this girl. I'm very borderline tears here, and it's really hard for me to cry, so, because I'm so disassociated. But like, baby girl, you didn't. I can't even do it. But I'm just really sorry. I'm just really, really sorry to this girl and who she was, and the fact that she's no longer here. Alright, so I'm gonna burn this one a little differently this time. Mix it up a bit. So, my own personal version of sage. Okay. Intrigue. It's just kind of not wanting to burn. Like, wow, like it's really not wanting to burn, which I find interesting. this is crazy. Like, you see that? Like, I am trying to burn this here, and most of that's ash. Like, if I wipe away most of it, like, look at that. It is not wanting to burn. Right. I'm gonna try again one more time, and otherwise I think this is a little bit of a sign, to be honest. It's just not burning. Like, sorry, you see that? Like, intrigue. I think that's saying something, personally. I know some of you are probably like, just get a lighter. And I'm like, no. This was my choice, my personal spiritual choice to burn it this way. And a lot of people would also be like, oh, it could just be like the paper from the photograph. Very well could be, but me personally, my little intuitive brain is going like, no, this is a sign that this girl is still here somewhere inside me and needs healing and love and isn't going anywhere, which kind of freaks me out a bit. Whew. Okay, after that I'm gonna have a natural smoke. While we start to talk about a few things. Hold up, we got my Gilmore Girls coffee mug here. Liquid gold. Okay, so before I decided to do this video, like once I decided to do this video, I was like, I want to do this a bit different. I don't want to just talk about the facts and stuff. I want to go a bit deeper than that. So I did a crystal reading once I decided I wanted to talk about this subject. So what I do is I have a mass amount of crystals. So I have all my crystals laid out, and you just kind of close your eyes, put your hands over the crystals, not touching them, and then you'll just kind of know when to stop. There'll either be this like heat, this vibration, or you'll just like kind of get to an area and you'll be like, and then you just grab whatever crystal. And I did it a couple times and I kept picking up rose quartz. Now this one's quite clear, but it is rose quartz. And I've got my rose quartz angel here. There we go. And another one I picked up was rose aura quartz. Now the lighting's not the best, but you can kind of see the rainbow in it, and that's the aura quartz part. So rose aura quartz is rose quartz with aura quartz. And I'm going to explain the meanings of these and why I found it very interesting that that's what I unintentionally picked up in terms of this reading. I also have out here, and this was actually bought for me by my sister. What's crazy is that it was just before I went into the last mental health clinic, psych ward, whatever you want to call it. And normally I bring crystals in with me, always. And then I leave with no crystals left because I'll meet someone and I'll just be like, yeah, you need this. Or I'll be like, you know, please do a crystal reading for yourself. Like, I guarantee you will pick out the one that is perfect for you. So I've had to buy more and more crystals over the years to replace the ones I've given away. But that's just part of who I am, very giving. And anyway, I was kind of rushed very quickly to get into this clinic. I spoke about this clinic in my last video. If you want to check that out, it was an incredibly traumatic experience. And I completely forgotten to grab crystals, which is 100% unlike me. Like, I always bring crystals. And my sister, I met up with my sister, and she gave me this as a gift. Now you can see the rainbow in that. Look at that. This is a rose aura quartz, and it in a point, which has meaning in itself, and it is so powerful. Like, even just touching it now, like, it's like I feel like a warmth or a harder thumping in my heart and my chest. It's just absolutely magical, absolutely magical. And I can link below where this is from. And if anyone else is interested in some really good crystal website, let me know. Let me know. It just leaves me speechless. So I chose those crystals unintentionally with my crystal reading while thinking about the fact that I was going to be talking about PTSD. I'm going to explain to you a little bit about rose quartz and rose aura quartz, and then maybe you'll be as surprised as me. I wasn't shocked. I was kind of like, yeah, of course, that's the crystal I pick up, because it's never by accident. Because it fits perfectly within this topic. So rose quartz itself, which is exactly what this one is, the rose quartz angel. So the one that's just pink, like just plain pink, like this beautiful lighter than baby pink. It's beautiful. It is for unconditional love. Rose quartz is the love crystal. It is the ultimate love crystal. So it's for unconditional love in general, whether it is self-love or love towards others. It's your ultimate love crystal. It's for beauty and love within oneself. It is calming for trauma and crisis, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. I also wrote down that if you want to work on self-love, a good way to do it is to get some pink roses. Whether you pick them or buy them is totally up to you. And some rose quartz hearts. I don't have one on me right now, but I do have multiple. You can get rose quartz carved into a heart, cut into a heart shape, and get 2 rose quartz hearts, or just get some small rose quartz stones, so like this type of shape, like your round ones, and place a photo of yourself down, and then surround the photo with pink roses and rose quartz. And it's kind of your choice after that what you do, whether you just leave it, or whether maybe perhaps you say a self-love mantra to yourself, like, you know, I deserve to love myself, or I am lovable, or you just say a little prayer to whomever, your angels, whatever it may be, and just say, you know, please help me to love myself. Whatever you choose to do, but like leaving your photo within that kind of pink love energy can really help. Okay, so rose quartz is obviously for self-love. It prevents nightmares and night terrors, which is a big symptom of PTSD and complex PTSD. It's for grief and comfort, And for some people, PTSD is formed from grief, from loss, rebirth. So like metamorphosis, growing, changing, which also occurs due to PTSD. You change. As I've spoken a lot about in the beginning of this video, I've changed due to my trauma, and I'm constantly growing and changing and metamorphosis into the ultimate butterfly I'm meant to be. Self-forgiveness. That's a hard one. I can tell you that. Self-forgiveness, which I can tell you myself is really effing hard. So hard, but so important, so important. Especially in terms of trauma, when you have so much shame and guilt and self-blame, and you can't forgive yourself for the situation. Like, learning to forgive yourself is something like I'm still working on, but you know, you deserve to forgive yourself. Rose quartz is also the crystal connected to Aphrodite, the Greek goddess, for love, beauty, fertility, and war, which I found quite interesting. Okay, now the rose aura quartz. So when you get a rose aura quartz, the one with the rainbow kind of glisten in it, it's for self-worth, which is incredibly important, especially if some form of trauma or something has affected your self-worth and self-esteem and self-acceptance, and like really damaged your view on yourself. It is a whole body love crystal. So this crystal in general, I'd recommend to anyone. Honestly, I would recommend it to pretty much everyone. But even just in terms of eating disorders, it's a really good one, because it's all about self-love, self-acceptance, loving who you are, like learning to love your body, which is obviously something I personally struggle with. Go get yourself some rose quartz, in other words. Okay. Because it's a rose/aura quartz, it's a master healer, a lot like clear quartz. Clear quartz is an amplifier and master healer, because it makes any other crystal near it or around it, like its meaning and strength, stronger. So it amplifies the effects of the crystal. So it's a master healer. The other thing I love about it is aura quartz on its own is one that has connection to angels and spirit guides. So when you have your rose aura quartz, you've got all this love and healing, but then there's also this connection to the angels around you. A lot for emotional healing, which anyone with PTSD or complex PTSD needs, and body image issues. Like I said, this is one I definitely recommend for anyone struggling with an eating disorder, of any kind. And big one here, abuse. So I was in no way surprised that this is the crystal I randomly picked out, because as you can see, it covers so many aspects of what we need in terms of healing for anyone who's experienced any form of trauma and PTSD. Now, gotta have some coffee before we, I wouldn't call it spilling the tea, because I'm a coffee drinker. So, maybe it's like sipping the coffee. I'll be sipping the coffee and talking. Okay, so if you're watching this You're either a lovely follower or friend of mine, or perhaps you've come across it because of the title, or because you or someone you know is struggling with PTSD. But I'm really going to break this down for everyone and just really talk about this subject and my own personal experiences. And I just think that, unfortunately, I've dealt with PTSD, formally diagnosed at around 15, but I've dealt with it for a well over 10 years. And I think also, as someone who's been in and out of mental health facilities and clinics since I was 14, I have learnt a lot over the years. And if I can shed some light and help some other people, I'm more than happy to. So, all right, let's just start with, what is PTSD? Post-traumatic stress disorder, otherwise abbreviated to PTSD, is a condition that arises in response to a traumatic event. Okay? What is complex PTSD? So, complex PTSD, abbreviated to C-PTSD, is complex PTSD develops as a result of chronic exposure to multiple traumatic events. So the difference between PTSD and complex PTSD is that PTSD is related to one significant traumatic event. Complex PTSD is diagnosed when there has been multiple severe traumatic incidents. It is formed because there has been multiple traumatic incidents, not just one. So that's the main difference, is that PTSD is for a singular traumatic event, and complex PTSD is diagnosed when someone has experienced multiple traumatic events. Now, both are exactly the same, and the symptoms and what you experience and go through is exactly the same. The only difference is that PTSD is based on one singular traumatic event, and complex PTSD is based on the fact that there are multiple traumatic events. So, let's talk about the symptoms of PTSD. So we have nightmares, night terrors. I had really severe nightmares and night terrors when I was younger. So probably from 12 till I was 15. And then it was kind of like my brain shut them down. So I don't remember my dreams. It's really rare if I remember a dream, like maybe one in a couple months. But I know that I have night terrors because I will wake up viciously shaking. I'll wake up in a sweat, or partners have told me I was crying or convulsing in my sleep. So I'm very aware that I still have night terrors. I just don't remember the actual nightmare dream itself. Anxiety? Absolutely, anxiety. Guilt and shame? It really depends on what traumatic event. But, for example, with rape and sexual assault, there is a mass amount of guilt and shame. And I can 1,000% tell you that as a survivor of multiple sexual assaults and rapes, that there is this, somehow it becomes that after the incident, instead of blaming the perpetrator, the rapist, our brain kind of goes, well, it was my fault. I was to blame. I went to his house, or I kissed them. I was drinking. I was the one who said yes but then said no, or I was wearing this, and we blame ourselves. And this is to not just to females, to anyone, males, anyone. There is this mass amount of guilt and shame like held within your chest, where you just constantly almost question it and go kind of like, oh, well, I deserved it, I'm to blame. And then you feel this ultimate like shame, like it's just like, this has to be a secret, I can't talk about it, I can't speak about this, like it's too shameful, I'm so ashamed, and people will blame me, and you know, it's horrendous to say the least.